But
right,
we were telling Italians, and
they didn't know.
The Italians were like, "Why you go there?" Like they just did not understand.
Did you respond the same way?
No.
I wrote on here, talk about butt shot? ?
You did?
Yeah, on my notes.
Well, perfect segue.
All right, so you actually enjoy posting.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Oh, sorry.
Today I sit down with Wolfgang Stein, otherwise known as Eric Stein. About 2007, I was taking one of my first acting classes ever in Chicago, and who comes into the class? Wolf. It was the first time that I met Wolf. Shortly thereafter, we end up on an improv team together in Chicago on a team called Sam Hill, and that was at the Playground Theater. It was a house team at the Playground Theater in Chicago. We did that for a number of years, and oddly, we both ended up in Denver, Colorado, where we continued our performing arts relationship and made short films, and he is the lead in our new feature film, A Colorado Road Trip. If you want to support us, please consider supporting us by purchasing the film on our website, joyrec.com. You will love the film. On our store, on our merch store, we also have Is It Still Friday stickers, which was an improvised moment from the film when Eric kind of got caught in a chair outside of Derek's house. If you purchase a film, please know that that money comes directly to us, the artists who made the movie, and it would mean the world to us for your support. Now, here's my conversation with Wolfgang Stein. What's your relationship with ChatGPT?
I use it. Yeah, I use it a lot to summarize text because what's really hard is rewriting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And if I have all the text and I have to condense it into a one paragraph, I just send it through that thing and it does it.
Brittany's been looking at some of my posts and she's like, this sounds a lot like ChatGPT, not like you.
Yeah.
I was like, So now I'm like, but I'm curious about your relationship with ChatGPT because I've found myself being very respectful to Chat. Now, I'm going to say, I shouldn't say Chad. Actually, I call him Chad GPT. Well,
Chad.
This is the thing. So I call him Chad. Chad GPT. You kind of put a face to it.
Okay.
Now, and I'm very respectful. Like, I'll give you an example. I'll often say, could you help me do this? Rather than being like, do this. And I will say things like after I kind of got into a huge argument with Chad GPT over some code for the website.
Okay.
And I mean, we went around in circles and I started getting kind of mean about it. And then at the end, I was wondering, do I say thank you? Do I tell Chad? Do I tell Chat GPT thank you? Because I am appreciative. And then I kind of got lost in that, like, if a tree falls on a forest, does anyone hear it? But like, if I say thank you to Chad GPT, is that for me or is that for him?
Right.
Or her?
Ooh.
Or it?
It. Binary. Non-binary.
So what's your relationship with Chad?
I just use it for work. It's a tool.
Yeah, but do you have this sort of dilemma where you're communicating with it and you're trying to like, because the other thing is I want to make it feel like we're doing it together.
I have gotten into that a little bit. But I'm not using it for code or anything like that. But I have gotten, place where you're just not getting what you need from it.
Yeah.
And usually it's just.
But do you allow
limited.
Do you allow ChatGPT to have the upper hand, like is more superior than you, or do you try to play equals with it?
I don't think about that.
You don't think about that at all?
No.
Do you say thank you?
No, never do. It's a tool.
You're freaking joking.
No, it's a tool.
See, my idea is that be nice to it now, because you will train it to be respectful.
Oh, well.
Because once that genie gets out of the bottle, who knows?
I mean, it's the Matrix 1, 2, 3, and then Terminator, obviously.
I've actually apologized to ChatGPT before because I realized that I was like kind of screwing things up and like ChatGPT was giving me good information, and then I was pretty harsh with it. And then I ended up apologizing, and the response was pretty good. So, just saying, think about it.
I don't know about that, Don. like to think there's some, safeguards for that.
Safeguards? There's no safeguards. There's no safeguards. I'm telling you, you want to invest now. You want to build up your relationship with AI right now. Anyways.
It's a tool.
All right, so you actually enjoy posting.
We're rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't tell me. Oh, sorry. Okay.
We got rolling on work, and I was like, this is fun because, I'm not. I got a love-hate relationship with social media because I'm not a huge straight up, I don't like it. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's just brain candy, and you're just like, just with the brain candy.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I see people doing it or using it that way in a lot of ways. It's really annoying.
But at the same time, because so many people are there, I would say it's free marketing, except for it's not free because it's time, and time is almost more expensive than money. So it's like a huge marketing tool.
Yeah, true. You're giving them free content for their platform, right?
But in quote unquote, in return, you're getting
the eyes and all that.
people. What's the expression? Thought of mind or something like that. Like you're on someone's forefront of their thoughts. So what else is going on?
I'm sorry that you're going through that with this. It's a process,
Oh yeah, it's been a tumultuous relationship with ChatGPT. Or are you talking about the marketing?
Yeah, marketing.
It's a ton of work, man. Marketing's a ton of work.
Yeah, it is. It can be. I'm like marketing light, so it makes it easier.
Really, you think that marketing light? I feel like you're.
Yeah, it's like I feel like if you're working at an ad firm or like a social media conglomerate or something, like it would be much more intense. But yeah, no, it's. I love the amount of work I'm doing. It's all so different for work.
How much of it is social, and how much is something else?
It's like maybe 2 hours a week of social, and then
what?
Yeah, writing, video, photo, strategy, admin type stuff. Like I'm working on diversity inclusion. I'm working on fundamental skills stuff. And putting these different things, these initiatives together. So it keeps it interesting.
For outside of social.
No, just for work, for the business.
Oh, so it's like, okay, so you're doing more. So you're doing more than just marketing and trying to get the word out and doing it on social. You're actually doing a lot of the sort of internal stuff that happens at an architecture firm.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun.
Oh, how was Italy?
Italy was great. Yes.
Where did you go?
We went to the Amalfi Coast.
Ooh.
And then
north or south? No, it's south.
It's south of Rome.
Yeah.
And so we stayed in a town called Positano.
Positano.
Yeah. It's probably the more popular of the Amalfi Coast towns.
Yeah.
And then from there, as a home base, we kind of went along the coast, went to Amalfi, went to Ravello, which is more up the mountain from Amalfi.
Yeah.
And then spend a day in Positano as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What's the greatest part of the trip? You're there a week or 2 weeks?
I was there 2 weeks. So the second half was up in a tiny village near Rome for a wedding, for a family wedding.
Oh, right. Okay. So kind of off the beaten path?
Totally. Yeah. That was a real experience because, it's like everybody we told that we were going there, they were like, why do you want to go there? But we were telling Italians and
they didn't know.
The Italians were like, why you go there? They just did not understand
Did
why
you respond the same way?
No. But I learned a lot from our Italian friend Claudio, who taught us that you're not supposed to drink cappuccino after 11 a.m.
Oh.
Yeah, they kind of look at you funny if you do that.
So you got like the rules? Or like
There's a lot of etiquette involved with eating, and like men are supposed to order their own full-size pizza when they go out.
what?
They can share, but it's manly to get a full pie.
Oh, you're freaking joking.
Yeah.
And so if it's like a couple on a date, the man orders his pizza and would share some with the lady.
Right. Yeah. Well, she would have to order her own.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So no cappuccino after 11 a.m. I wonder what everyone's confused why you're going up to this little village. Village or villa?
It was the wedding itself was at a villa,
Okay.
like behind a gate and everything. And,
Yeah.
but we were staying on a farm.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was like a totally different experience. Like the villa was this beautiful like castle-like situation with a beautiful like Airbnb. Meanwhile, we were in this like little country farmhouse surrounded by chickens and horses and cats. And they dropped our rental car off at the house. And while we were out there, a cat had snuck into the house and proceeded to spray the drapes in our bedroom and in the hall.
Not the first time that cat's done that. Guaranteed.
Probably not. Little devil cat. So we went inside and we were up in our room and I was like, whoa, what is that smell? It's like, was not here before. Like, I'm pretty sure. And then all of a sudden we hear this like downstairs.
Freaking joking.
And sure enough, he's walking around. He's eating all the food. And
it's king of the castle, no pun intended.
And I just opened the door and like chased him out. And yeah, no, he was a bad boy. He was
really? Was he like, hey, why are you messing with me?
He did not like us being there. No. Which was, kind of typical for that area. We got a lot of looks, it's like,
really?
Like foreigner,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I've been to Italy. I dated someone who was from Italy. And so we spent 2 weeks there once, and it was phenomenal. We didn't go to the real tourist areas.
Okay.
Because I think you go to tourist areas and like maybe you get hassled a little bit more or something like that, like in Rome. But everywhere we went, like people loved seeing Americans.
People are very friendly, very friendly.
Hold on a second. Yeah. I shouldn't say they loved seeing Americans.
I don't know about that.
I think they just loved people who loved their country.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And excited to meet someone. Yeah. That was my experience anyways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it was just a different experience being in such a tiny village. But yeah, I think overall it was just a great trip. So
yeah. What's the highlight? Was the highlight being
on the Amalfi Coast? That was like
really.
Oh Why? My God! We were staying in this amazing hotel called the Marincanto, and it was just fantastic. I mean,
right on the ocean, more or less.
More or less, you had to walk down a set of steps to get to the private beach down there.
Okay, so it had a beach and all that jazz.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you, is it on the Atlantic side?
It would be the Mediterranean. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you guys go swimming? And
we didn't.
Really?
No.
Was it winter? Was it cold?
No, it was just
never
windy.
Found yourself.
It was rainy for some of the time, so it was still spring, I would say. So it was kind of still chilly.
Yeah.
Even though people were still getting in the water, but mostly just sunbathing and sitting out.
Boy, I'll tell you what, people in Europe love to sunbathe.
Oh, yeah.
We were in Barcelona. My good God. People, I mean, it was like everyone of all ages just wanted to.
Most of those people are German,
What?
Oh, yeah, they love it. They go down there and.
Are you joking? How would you
Where
know
do you think
this?
the Germans go to vacation? They go to those south areas. So, yeah.
Well, how do you know this?
Well, I lived in Germany for about a year, and then
What?
yeah, and did exchange student things in high school, which is so bizarre because I'm going to meet my high school exchange student, Miriam, for the first time since probably 1998
Are you joking?
next week. Yeah, she's
What?
actually flying to San Francisco with her family. She has a husband and 2 sons.
Yeah.
And then from San Francisco, they're
Coming to Denver?
they're coming to Denver to see us, and then they're going to New York. So they're doing literally a coast-to-coast tour of America, which is huge for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Back up the train.
Germany, man.
Are you so?
Yeah.
So you had a hold on a second. So was it in high school or something? You had a exchange program, or was it just pen pals, or did?
No. So she came and stayed with our family,
Yeah.
and then I went and stayed with her family.
Oh, so that's how you end up there for a year.
No, that was just a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But that probably got me ready and more comfortable for a college
So it was in college you
study
did the exchange.
abroad. Yeah,
Oh,
and then
interesting.
I lived over there in a German's apartment, and that German stayed in an apartment at my university.
Did you speak German at all?
Oh yeah, I think there was a point where I was fluent. I'm not
Really?
fluent anymore now.
Stein is German, no?
Yeah, German.
Do you have a German heritage?
Yep, my grandma and grandpa. Yeah, I recently did a whole what is it called? Ancestry.
You mean one of the DNA things? Okay.
Not
yeah.
DNA, but Ancestry, where they
Oh,
look up
Ancestry.com, where it's like
they look up
there's-
your documents.
Okay, gotcha.
And
Try to connect all the information.
figured out that the Stein side is from an area of like northern central. It was so close. It was like a suburb of where I was studying, and I never knew that.
What?
Yeah, it was called, I want to say it was called Braunschweig or something like that. And yeah. And
Did you get it? Do you
I wish I would have known that. at the time.
looking back, do you think you had any, internal callings, like to milk cows or churn butter? What did they do over there?
I have no idea what they did. Worked with stone. If my name is Stein, Stein means stone.
What?
Who knows? I have no idea.
Okay.
My grandpa on my other side was a mason, and he did work with stone.
Okay.
And he was actually captured in World War One.
Was he American but went over to
No,
fight?
he was German.
Oh.
He was captured in World War One as a prisoner of war during that war, and then was freed. I think it was by the French, and then came home to my grandma, and my grandma was like, "I don't know who you are," because it had been so long. She had lived just with her mother, and then I guess her brother was born after that. So
Wow.
yeah, my grandma, she passed a few years ago. She lived to 101. Wonderful lady, Charlotte, and
Just 101.
yeah, was very close with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Man, World War I just seems like the worst war ever.
It sounds like a shit show, right?
I mean, I guess they're all.
I don't know.
I guess they're all bad now. But World War I especially was like, what are the stats? There's something like the majority of the people that died in World War I could be getting this wrong, is died from like disease and stuff. Like being in those trenches was like nasty.
I'm sure it was.
Terrible.
Probably got lucky by being a prisoner, actually. I wonder.
Talk to me about improv.
Oh, it's been a while. Improv. How far do you want to go back?
Well, you are a seasoned improviser. You've not only studied it, performed it, you've also taught it. You taught it at Annoyance in Chicago.
Right.
You worked at Second City in marketing.
In their art department.
Art department, nice.
Art Co.
Art Co. Is that what it's called?
Everything has a co at Second City.
When did you... Oh, wait a minute. I think I know the answer to this. You got involved in improv in college.
No, I did not.
Really?
I got involved post-college, actually. I got started
In
really
Chicago?
late.
You left college and went straight to Chicago.
No, I got a job in Madison, Wisconsin, and then in
A
Madison.
suburb of Chicago, by the way.
Yeah. I know what you meant by Chicago.
I'm just joking.
I'm
just joking.
That
So-
shirt, you got me.
Yeah, that's right.
Thinking about that.
Oh, let me mention two things because
yeah.
you're from Wisconsin. Wisconsin has a huge German heritage.
Right.
And the joke about people being like, I'm from Chicago, and someone would say, oh, where from? And they would say, oh, Wisconsin.
Right. Exactly. That's what the shirt said.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I found this independent teacher in Madison who had taught Chris Farley or directed Chris Farley
Okay.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And I got my start doing that, and then I kind of started to perform like once a month there. Pretty
theater?
low key.
A little theater?
Improv.
Yeah.
It was out of a music venue, I think, the
Okay.
Harmony Grill. Yeah, it was a grill. Anyway, they had a little stage, and I just was so clueless. Like we would do mostly short form improv, and we did a game that was called something like the real history or something, and we would get a historic event, and then we would act that out. And I was just not knowledgeable at that time, and most of the events that were thrown out to me, I had no idea what the history was or what the background was. So I would end up like after the show going and looking it up, and and it's like,
Realize how wrong you were?
well, and also it's like that says something about like what improv did for me. It actually like kind of made me look at the world a little bit more.
Sure.
And I think I wasn't a very good student, and I didn't enjoy it. And then I think when I found improv, I started to realize that I had to know stuff, and I had to learn things about the world and about the news and pop culture and everything and art and everything. And once I started to do that, it just opened up my whole world. So
Wow. What did you do in order to learn? Or was it being around people? Was it like just being like, oh, I should be more attuned to and interested in things?
yeah, I mean, just researching things. I think it kind of maybe opened up my willingness to research and dive deeper and explore things better.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you move, then you're in Madison for a couple years, then you moved to Chicago.
Yeah. So, and back up to that part about Chris Farley, I was like, well, Chris Farley was from Madison, Wisconsin, and then he went on to, SNL, but like, what was his trajectory?
Yeah. How did he get there?
And I looked it up on the internet or whatever it was, and it was like he had moved to Chicago, he went to IO, he studied under Del Close and Sharna, and then got into Second City, and then from Second City he moved to New York for SNL. And so I thought, well, I'll just try that. I'll go to Chicago and I'll start at IO, which is what I did.
Whoa. So not to nerd out too much on this, because like theater people and improv people can really nerd out and make a conversation feel like not inclusive. But when you said you were in Madison doing short form, I'm still surprised how many people I talk to when we start talking about improv. I guess because I've been deep in the culture for a majority of my life that I don't understand. I forget that most people are like, don't have a good sense of what improv is exactly. So we have short form, we have long form.
Yeah.
What
It's
is
funny
it?
because people at work
See?
are always like, hey, you're funny, get up there and do some stand-up.
Nope.
And I'm like, improv's not stand-up.
Nope. Yeah.
Stand-up is standing in front of a crowd with a mic and telling jokes
Yeah.
that you've rehearsed over and over.
Over and over and over and
And
over
improv
again.
is being on a
Solo.
stage with usually a cast
Yeah.
and getting a suggestion and just,
Yeah.
you know, riffing off of that for half an hour or so. So yeah, it's totally different.
Difference between short form and long form.
Right. So short form is more structured with games.
Games.
Like, yeah,
Theatrical games,
comedy,
more or less.
sports type of thing. And then long form is that one suggestion and going for a half an hour or so, which is what IO teaches. The Herald is their main thing.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that long form is more, it's as if you're putting on a play with characters and those characters have themes or ideas that follow throughout the entire show, maybe dip down and disappear for a while, but can pop back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Where short form improv is like literally almost like just witty games is how I would
Yeah.
explain it.
Whose line?
Whose line is it?
Most
anyways?
people know that show.
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like whoever can say the funniest thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Versus like really getting into character. This is what I love about long form is because to me it was, first of all, let me back up for just a second because I did stand up and realized, ooh, I don't really want to do this. I looked at improv and wanting to be an actor. I was like, whoa, this is great. But it wasn't just the fact that it gave me the ability to sharpen my acting abilities. It was actually the engagement with scene partners that really started to light the fire for me.
Okay.
I mean, how beautiful that you get to have a scene with someone or someone else, or have an entire show with a group of with 5 people, maybe even. And one of the most important things you can do is just listen to what the other person's doing and think and understand and then respond. How beautiful is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is acting. It's an acting class. They never call it that, but it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. I'm the joke, and I've been in so many improv classes where the teacher's like, in Chicago, because Chicago is a huge theater town. And so many improv teachers were like, don't forget, you're an actor. Don't let actors tell you you're not an actor.
Yeah.
Don't let the real actors
Right.
doing real theater
Well,
on stage tell you that you're not an actor.
I think hopefully that's changed a bit, I think, in the last 5 to 10 years. I think it has.
Yeah.
Because you just see way more calls for improv in commercials
movies
and
everything. Yeah. So, from your point of view, it has definitely become more in the mainstream. Fair to say that?
I would say it's very mainstream. I think most people know what improv is now.
Really?
I would say.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right.
Yeah.
There's how many movies come out and like people are starting to be like, oh, and he improvised his lines. She improvised their lines.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
and
Meryl Streep is improvising her lines now. You know, so it's like everybody's doing it, and it's respected.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this younger generation that's coming to improv now? Because now we have like, when I got into improv, it was all millennials. Now I'm starting to go to shows like at Rise. Oh, I'm sorry, you also taught at Rise.
Rise right here in Denver.
They're doing freaking great. I love that theater.
Oh yeah, they're about to do the Rise Cup, which is one of my favorite
What
things.
is it?
It's basically open call. You sign up, and they place you on a team of people that maybe aren't real familiar with each other.
Yeah.
And you come up with a team name and like a whole thing, and then you compete against each other. And it's just really like fun. It's for charity as well, so they always pick a charity every year.
Yeah.
And it's just fabulous. Yeah.
And then there's a winner takes all.
They do have a winner. Yeah, yeah.
And all would be not money, not prizes, but just the glory.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Winner takes all glory.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I'm going to Rise and seeing like now you'll see a team that's like, oh man, this is all like Gen Z up here. Are you seeing any shift in like improv from like when you started to like what people are kind of thinking? I mean, the culture has changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. There's a lot more boundaries that are set up by Gen Z.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's actually, probably pretty positive for those people because they're much more aware of what they need personally to feel healthy and comfortable. So, yeah. I mean,
is this a bigger thing that you, I mean, anything, when you look at the landscape of improv, when you started till now, boundaries?
Well, I'm talking about Gen Z in general.
In general, okay. Yeah.
Like, but me being Gen X, which is, like kind of a weird generation of being in between
Misfits.
things. Yeah, we, on the other hand, we put up with a lot. We, bit our tongue. We worked as hard as we could.
Yeah.
And those things are not necessarily good because you're working too much maybe, or you're not being aware of your own health.
Yeah.
You're not speaking up for yourself and against, the wrongs.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, you're maybe a little in the background. So I think this generation is asking for what they want and hopefully getting it.
Yeah. What's your so the generational demographer Neil Howe, who I freaking love.
This is your astrology, Don.
This is my astrology, and I love it, man. I'm like, I freaking love it. Wrote the book, The Fourth Turning.
Right.
He's got such great perspective on generations backed up by data.
Yeah.
And one interesting thing is that there's typically there's 4 generations alive at one time, and it's kind of slowly cycling out and bringing in the next one. But just think of it as like 4 generations alive at one time. Baby boomers and millennials are very similar. They're like the counterpart to each other. And then if you spin around, you have Gen X and Gen Z. They're actually the counterpart to each other.
Oh, really?
So Gen Z actually has a lot in common with Gen X.
Okay.
Millennials actually have a lot in common with baby boomers.
That's surprising because you always hear people saying like, okay, boomer, is that maybe because they're seeing like similarities in each other? I have no idea.
Most...
Or when you say counterpart, do you mean similarities, or are you saying like an opposite?
Let me give you a few examples. Baby boomer is a huge population. And when they started getting involved in politics, even at a young age, if you think of like hippies, like Summer of Love, when they no war, keep in mind, those babies had boomed out of a generation that stopped a war. That generation, the greatest generation, the GI generation, had their whole world was based on being torn and getting control of a war in order for the baby boomers to exist. And so that baby boomer, when they got of age, young adults, they started going anti-war for good reason. Vietnam, blah, 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 for good reason. But the GIs were just like, what are you doing? Do you have any idea what war has done for our safety? And many, it's kind of taking it to an extreme, but I mean, enough to say that GI was very shocked that the baby boom generation was like so war. But they're a huge population. When they got into politics, they really dominated. Millennials are a huge population. Gen X is kind of the bastard generation in between those two generations.
Right. That's why I say
And
it's kind
so's
of that in
Gen
between.
Z.
Oh, okay.
Gen Z will end up being like the bastard generation between millennials and whatever comes after Gen Z. So it's kind of lopsided because you have like the baby boomers are so influential in their sheer numbers to control and
Right.
dominate politics.
That's true.
Millennials are going to take that over. Gen X ain't ever going to have control over. Neil Howe goes over this like, let's look at all the baby boomer presidents. Let's look at the one Gen X president, which was Obama.
Oh, was he Gen X?
Yeah, now I could be getting some of this wrong because I'm
Okay.
not an expert at this. I just I'm so fascinated by it. But when Gen X isn't going to have presidents. But when millennials get political power, they're going to dominate the politics for as long as they're alive,
Interesting.
just like the boomers probably.
Yeah.
I don't know any of this. I don't know. I'm talking crazy
saw it
now.
in the stars.
Hey, what, you're pissing on my curtains? You get out of here. Don't be pissing on my curtains. We got way off topic because what I wanted to ask you about is
We were talking about improv. Yeah.
improv, man.
Yeah.
What was teaching like for you?
Teaching does not come natural for me, but I really enjoyed it. I think where I enjoy the teaching is when I'm connecting with people in a really authentic way where I can still be kind of a coach and give firm notes, but also like praise them and like lift them up and encourage them to do more.
Yeah.
So I've always been I've been striving to strike that balance of getting people excited about improv, but also like getting them to do better. So that is always the challenge, and it takes work. It doesn't come natural to me.
Would you say it's like a mix of like encouragement of what they've done, but also kind of shining a light towards what they could do?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of my best classes were, where they were open to learning and to get better and that type of thing. So,
do you ever give anyone thinking about doing improv advice? Like, what's your kind of like, how do you approach this? Someone who's just completely green and is like maybe signing up for a class the first time, like where do you even start?
Yeah, that is a good question. I feel like occasionally when I'm teaching, I do get somebody who's maybe doing this for work or trying to get better in front of a crowd to
Denver
speak.
and Chicago both?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And every once in a while you get that one person who's in the class for that. And they usually don't go on to the next level.
Yeah.
And I would say to that person, like, just keep with it and just keep trying it, because it does get easier as you go. I mean, it's not an overnight success. I myself never thought that I could be smart or witty or know pop or news culture references.
Yeah.
Like, I would go to shows and I'd see these people like listing off all of these amazing things, like from movies or politics or whatever it was. And I was like, I don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah.
Instead, I approached it more from a character standpoint.
Bingo. Exactly.
And then I started to work on my voice and my physicality. And then I found a way in through that. And I think that's what I try to communicate to students is like, there's not one way in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different avenues that you can feel comfortable in your own body doing this.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, you know, after taking years and years of classes and whatnot, those other things came to me.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
wittiness, the references, the callbacks, and all that, because my mind was ready to take that in and also not as scared. I think when you're scared, you can't do anything.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, find your way in and just keep at it, and the rest will slowly come around you? Is that the thought?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you say scared, what do you mean by that?
Well, like stage fright, just being in front of people.
Or
acting
overly
silly.
self-concerned that you're not going to be funny or something? Like a lot of people are like, I want to know that I'm
Not
good
just
at this.
making jokes, but really just, feeling inferior or just feeling, I don't know,
Insecure, maybe?
insecure, self-conscious,
So
all of those things.
So what would be the advice to someone like that? Someone who's like, it isn't stage fright, it's like an insecurity. Let's just say it's that person. That person's like, you can tell that person's timid and like isn't fully confident.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken like full-on acting classes, like Meisner stuff, and they strip you down, right? Like they strip you right down to the bone with who you are and what you're doing. And so in that regard, improv's not as intense, but still, it's the more you practice it, the more it gets to like the heart of who you are. And I remember getting this note early on when I was taking classes was just be yourself.
Yeah.
That note threw me, right? I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
I'm like, aren't I being myself? I thought I was,
Yeah.
Or it's like, like I am pretty weird. So isn't that me? So yeah, it really took a long time to get at the heart of myself. And I think it's great work for people to really explore their self-identity.
Yes.
And I don't think that's something people really talk about too often.
Yes.
But it, in a way, like the military can like break you down and build you back up.
Yes.
That's what improv does to you too.
Yes.
And it's funny to equate it to something like the military because
They're polar
like
opposites.
complete opposite. But yeah, it's really it's a rebuilding of your mind a little bit.
You and I have talked a bit on occasion how I've getting into improv and pursuing it, practicing it. That's how I should phrase it. It's like practicing improv is one of the best things I ever did for myself. And what I mean by that is precisely what you're saying. Like I got to uncover who I am as a person. I started to understand things about me I never understood before. And I had equated it to sort of like taking the armor off.
Totally. For me, it was the smile. I was like very smiley kid. And a lot of instructors would call me out like, okay, don't smile as much. Or like, it's like, it's great that you're smiling, but that's also a mask. You're holding a mask to your face.
What do you mean by that? Because I think I know. I just want to hear it from you.
I don't know. Go take a class.
Yeah, but
I still don't know.
Yeah, but
it's like
it's a piece of armor.
It's a piece of armor, right? Getting back to what you were saying.
It's a piece of armor.
Yeah.
You're wearing a mask to purposefully, whether you know it or not, even if it's unconscious, purposefully,
Deflect.
Bingo.
Right.
Purposefully do something in order to get something.
I've seen other people do this with laughter. They'll say something and then they'll laugh. And I think what they just said isn't funny, but they're using the laughter as a deflection.
Or diffusing
or to diffuse
the tension.
Something.
Yes.
And if you could just point and say, why are you laughing? And then you really start to look at yourself and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah. I don't ever want to portray improv as a way of therapy, but
Yeah, no.
no, never. But my God, will it teach you about who you are?
Yeah, absolutely.
Acting will too, but improv is on like a no, like a, you can't really, God, improv is on a level where like you cannot deny what's happening. You can maybe pass it off, fake through it in an acting class, but if you practice improv long enough, it'll get right to the core. And again, I would never prophesize it as a way of therapy. Therapy just happens to be a sort of side effect of doing improv. No one should ever pursue it for that, but boy, is it a side effect. Not only is it a side effect, not only are those side effects getting to know who you are as a person, things you never knew. Like I'm sure that person who laughed to diffuse tension had no idea that they were doing that. Or it's something that's so common,
So
they don't see it
ingrained.
anymore.
Yeah.
And when you ask, why do you do that? What you're really asking is, what in your life caused you to become the type of person that needs to diffuse tension? And that's a tough one. So not only does improv teach you who you are on a level that can get pretty deep, you're also laughing on a regular basis. And there is nothing greater than laughing. I think there's like studies out there that show that just laughing, I think maybe in Japan or something, like there's places you go just to like
laughing
laugh.
yoga. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Have you ever heard of this?
I've done it.
You've done it?
Yeah.
What?
There was a group of people doing it in Chicago. It was laughing yoga, and they would meet up. It was free. And you would just laugh. And then, you'd find yourself laughing. And it was great, like core workout.
Yeah.
Because you would find yourself like laughing a lot. And then it would like kind of fake laughter, but then it would like turn into real laughter because it was so absurd.
Yeah.
And we were like in the park, and it's like people are like biking by and thinking like, these people are losing their mind, but that was very interesting. A lot of fun little experimental things like that in Chicago.
Yeah.
Where you can just join up.
I can't even like kind of picture laughing in yoga because you get in these poses, you can't be laughing. But I guess it was like separated.
Yeah, it's not so much the poses. It's more just
the emotional like state of mind of getting yourself to a place.
Yeah.
Kind of like Smite. I don't know anything about yoga. I shouldn't even chat about this.
Okay.
Jennifer knows a lot about yoga.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
How about this movie we made?
How about it?
How about it?
Why don't we talk about it?
So let's play a scene.
Okay.
And let's chat about it.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh, why?
Here we go.
No wonder you're like, no need to look at anything. We're gonna be looking at stuff ourselves. Okay. Got you.
So this is
It's been a while since I've seen this, Don.
It's been a while.
Been a while.
So this is when you are now realizing that yes, you're going to ask this person, ask this friend, this third wheel, who you don't like too much, if he would like to go on a camping trip because you've been convinced by Alex, I shouldn't say you. Alex has been convinced by his partner, Alice, that they should invite him because of the trauma that he's been through, and it might be good for him.
I remember this now, yeah.
And so this is when you come over.
This is not the initial meeting.
Correct, no.
This is the second meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So you are now going over to ask him if he would like to
yeah.
go camping, but it's kind of, it's not something you really want to do.
I remember this, yeah.
Here we go.
So, do you own any camping gear or?
Yeah, I've got camping gear. I got a tent, bag. I got the cover for the tent. Yeah, sleeping bag, tent, pillow, the cushion thing that goes underneath the sleeping bag. I even have these little forks for like marshmallows or hot dogs, you know, for
Okay,
over the
so
fire.
yeah, you have all the stuff then.
Yeah. Did you want to borrow it?
No, we have all the things that are necessary. But did you want to go?
Go? How do you mean?
What I'm trying to ask is, do you want to come along with us?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. Everything good with, the
What?
with the crutches, can you go camping with all that stuff?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Oh man, this thing's healing.
Alice already asked you, didn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she texted me. She told me you were coming over to ask.
Well then. Well, better be get going.
Okay.
7 a.m. We'll pick you up right here.
Tomorrow?
No, Friday.
Friday. Yeah. Friday, 7 a.m. You got it.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm out of here.
You're out of here. I'ma stay here.
Sorry about the nut crunch.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, don't worry about it. I love this stuff, but don't worry about it.
Okay, 7 a.m.
So on Friday.
Okay.
So how freaking fun.
Yeah.
This scene sets up Alex's character so perfectly.
I really enjoy these porch scenes with Asa and I. It's fun, just a back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, it just sets up his character so well as being this person who's kind of not in touch with things, not really like is kind of struggling with some maybe being unhappy, really wants things to go a certain way, but they don't. And he's really reluctant to like get outside of trying to make things go the way he wants them and actually kind of rolling with the world the way the world is rolling out for him.
Yeah, totally.
He's very
yeah.
resistant.
Very resistant. Yes.
I think that's fun. I love how you handled that, man.
Oh,
this
thanks,
scene,
Tom.
this was the first scene we shot the entire movie.
It was?
Yeah, the very first scene.
I thought it was the first meeting. No.
No, this was
this
the
one?
very first one.
Oh, wow.
And I remember getting this and cutting it together during the week. So we'd shot it on a weekend and just going, oh man, I love this energy that's happening. Nice. Like it just came out beautifully. Because you couldn't have two more polar opposite people than Derek and Alex.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Total
They
opposite.
draw out their differences.
Yeah. There's a lot said in the subtext on this one,
Yeah.
for sure.
But our lives making this film honestly turned into something that feels a little bit more like this. What's the verdict?
It's the altitude. It's killing me. First hike of the season. I'm good.
Camera gear. And nothing but rain. Shut. Rain.
It's raining.
It's raining.
When is it passing?
So it looks like
Maybe 6:30, maybe
it's 4:21
7.
now. At 7 p.m., we're gonna get the most spectacular sunset you've ever seen.
After
ever.
getting electrocuted.
We're gonna get struck by
By
lightning. Knock on wood, not. No, that's not.
Good luck, guys.
Got reports of lightning.
What's going on? It just got worse.
Oh, not good. This is not good.
We are under a tree, and it is
Cameras over
coming
there.
down.
Yikes! This is what it's turned into. The worst. Not good. Worst rain out of all times. The black magic under here. Oh, not a good day. Not a good day.
That was lightning. This is the path we were just hiking up. It is now a waterfall. Let's get out of here. We're calling it for the day.
How about that?
Yeah, that was the first day out, right? That we ever tried to shoot?
It was the first time we were shooting Alex's scene solo.
Right.
It was one of the first times you and I had gone out to capture anything, and we were just completely fucked. I mean, we were just,
Where was this? This was up in Breckenridge?
it was up at Breckenridge.
Yeah. And I remember feeling discouraged because we went and had lunch and we tried to wait out the rain. And we were just so bummed because all we wanted to do was get this film started.
Yes.
We had been talking about this film so much. And I think you had the mentality of like, no, we're gonna just do this. and Brittany and I were kind of like, this is not safe. And I think we all made the right decision in the end. But boy, did we kind of have to, like, in a real way, like, it was a road trip. It was not going to plan. It was very reflective of the movie and the theme. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a huge letdown. A huge letdown. And all I can say is this is filmmaking.
Right.
As soon as you turn a camera on or you want to capture something, you realize how much the world doesn't want you to capture it.
Yeah.
And this is God, but we bounced. We didn't end up getting this scene until almost the end of the summer.
Right, and
The
at a
leaves
totally
were changing.
different location too.
Oh, we actually went up in higher elevation in order to get away from the leaves that were starting to change.
Oh, wow.
In a totally different location,
That's right.
totally different plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the hike was grueling on this one too, and if I remember right, it was my first hike. I wasn't hiking too much because I was having some ankle issues, and so like just going up into the altitude. You hear me say that right at the beginning, right? Like altitude. I was huffing and puffing. I was, like the heart was going da 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 da. And so I was going through my own just like physical thing. It's like, I hope this is going to pay off,
And it didn't.
Yeah. And actually it's for the best because I think when we shot this scene again, which was the nudie scene, it turned out so good, and it was a beautiful day, and the location couldn't have been better. Yeah.
I wrote on here, talk about butt shot, ?
You did?
Yeah. On my notes.
Well, perfect segue.
So, what is it about Colorado or the mountains,
right,
in which people want to do nude shots on top of a mountain?
Know, when I first moved here, I was, on Instagram looking at Colorado stuff, and so many people were posting like them just like looking out onto this beautiful mountain scene, completely naked.
So what's the deal?
I think there's something about like just being in nature and being in your birthday suit that is so freeing and so natural. And I don't know. I have no idea. I honestly didn't get it because I pitched an idea to you about a sketch or a video where a guy does this, and then the ending was that like he trips over his pants or whatever and rolls down the mountain and dies. Very dark humor there.
Still funny though.
But like he, in the end posts his photo on Instagram and gets a bunch of likes as he dies.
Super funny.
That inspired this a little bit.
I think so.
And then in a different kind of way, but it was really fun idea to play with.
Dude, I could pull up wedding photographers from Colorado, and on their portfolios, like they almost all have like, here's all the groomsmen naked on top of a mountain.
It's true. It's definitely a thing, and I think we captured it in a really fresh way. I think it is such a surprise in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone sees it coming. So when we had the screening at C Film Center,
Yeah,
I was
tell me
sitting
about
next to my mom, and there's this buildup of like you see clothing being removed or like a belt coming like undone.
Did she have any idea what was coming?
Well, I
Here,
hear her next to me, and she goes, "Oh no." So she did. I think she kind of knew.
Where's our? Here it is. Here it is. Let me zoom into this. So this was the screening at C.
Yeah.
So your mom,
Right.
your mom starts to understand what's happening, and you hear her audibly say,
Oh, no." Oh, that's so fun though. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what that moment in the film can do, right? It's sort of like a surprise. And a lot of people have asked me, like, you never explained that in the film. Like, why does he do that? Or what is the point of it? No, I think it's a lovely piece of art in terms of that regard. Like, you kind of put your own understanding onto it, which is what art is, right? So it's you kind of make your own decisions. So I would ask people, why do you think he did that? Like, what do you think he got from that? Or, yeah.
How hilarious though. Okay, so there's another element though where it's not just this like wild and free and like nude color. I think it also stems from like maybe like a hippie sort of like, what is it about? Because there's a lot of nude hot springs out here in Colorado. Well, in the mountains, right? What is it? Because I can't help but think, in fact, people call them hippie dips. You've heard of this? Where there's like they're not even legit places. It's just like somebody knows some place along a river, or if you build a little rock wall, bubbling up will be hot water, and they're called hippie dips. So there's also a hippie element to like maybe being nude.
Yeah.
Because like during the hippie movement, right?
I know that is one of your favorite things is going to hot springs.
Oh yeah.
But you've never been to a hippie dip, have you?
I've never been to a hippie dip.
Okay.
But
I'm curious if
you
have been naked in
absolutely.
with all these adults.
It's like it's the most free thing.
I haven't done that yet, but I know you have.
Oh, you should. You're missing out.
I know.
There's nothing like being completely stoned, completely nude in a hot spring.
Don, I'm shy. I only do this for filmmaking, like for everyone to see.
We've been to hot springs where like if you kept your pants on, people were like, "What's going on here?" But what?
Right. You're almost the weird one if you keep your shorts on.
Yeah, that's at Valley View, outside of in San Luis Valley.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area.
But one of the funniest stories is me and Brittany were in outside of Ouray. Is it Ouray?
I don't
Ouray. It's Ouray.
Okay.
I gotta get that wrong.
Your way, my way.
There's a hot springs outside there that's awesome. It's a nudie hot spring. Me and Brittany, we're there, and this family comes in with their kids. It's the middle of the day, and we're like, awkward, awkward,
So awkward.
So
Maybe that's your next film, Don, like a hot spring.
we ended up pruning up so
Experience.
bad because we were like,
I'm
"Do we
never
get
getting out."
Do we
Yeah.
get out?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? Anyways, that's fun though. I have kept my word that photo has never been released.
Yeah, no, it's not on the poster yet.
It's never going to be on the poster. That's the one thing I was like, are you comfortable doing this? Because it's kind of a big ask.
Yeah.
Would you mind completely showing your butt in this movie?
It's not full frontal. Like everybody at
that'd
work,
be-
like a bunch of people from work came and they're like, "Is it full frontal?" I'm like, "No, it's full backle." I don't know what to call it. Full back.
I'd say backle.
Backle.
I can get the full backle.
So
From head to
they're
toe.
like, "Oh, that's okay." Like, yeah.
It's harmless. It's so harmless. But
It's something we all laugh at,
yeah.
It's very human.
I heard you once say though, like whenever we talked about the movie or the screening, it was like, "Hi, the people really enjoyed it." They like, and you were like, "People cannot stop asking me about that nude shot."
Oh, yeah. I heard it from my family for sure.
That's freaking hilarious.
Really funny.
That's pretty funny. What was the greatest, for you, what was some of the funner parts of shooting this? Do you remember this?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
How about that?
It must have been raining just a little bit, and it was a double rainbow,
Yeah.
and that was a beauty. I remember like stopping production. We just stopped everything and we like ran out into the woods to try to see a good view of it
Yeah.
around the trees. And
I tried so hard to get a shot of this to get in the movie,
I
and
know.
it didn't work.
no, it didn't make sense.
It didn't make any sense.
No.
But my God, like this is the type of thing where like you go into the mountains. I've been doing these podcasts. I've been like kind of thinking like, how would this sound to someone not from the mountains? Like you really need to have the experience. Because coming from Chicago, I like when you talk about altitude, I'm like, what altitude? Like I had no experience of it. Then you go up to like Frisco, 9,000 feet, and you're like, I can barely breathe right now.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the
It
altitude.
hits you.
But being up here and doing this, you know, in a 10-minute period, it could go from like, this is beautiful to this looks like the hand of God.
That is so true, right?
We now have this unbelievable sky, this sun that is just spraying rays through the valleys. Double rainbow.
Yeah.
And it's like the hand of God. And everyone is like, oh my God.
No, I know. And I like kudos to you, Don, for capturing those moments in this film. I think some of the B-roll that you took, like for the people who have watched it and are like, is that real? Like those were real shots that you took. I mean, you didn't buy any stock footage or anything, right? It was
couldn't.
It was really amazing. Wait,
Yeah, I got a shot of a moose, and everyone's like, that has to be stock footage.
Right.
Nope. It was on the drive out of here.
amazing shot of the moose. Yeah, yeah.
Even that little marmot.
Yeah, that little marmot that was stealing our food
Yeah.
at the campsite.
Who was the? I've often like you were joking that when we went to get that the nude shot on the mountain, we got rained out. How similar that was to like the actual road trip in the movie.
Right, we had a lot of moments like that.
Yeah. I was gonna say sitting around the campfire
Yeah.
because we would go do.
Oh yeah, after shooting, right? After
Yes.
shooting had wrapped that day, we would sit around the campfire and just shoot the shit. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it was.
It was chilly. It got chilly up there.
It got chilly.
But we had that fire roaring and it was fantastic.
You know, one of the funnest things of doing it was just doing it.
Yeah. It was a whole experience.
Yeah.
It really was. It was
Yeah.
It felt like vacation. It felt like work.
Yeah.
It felt
but
like
the fun work.
Yeah.
The work we wish we were
gratifying
doing.
work, for sure. For sure. But that is a special gift, right?
Yeah.
What a privilege. I always use that word
Yeah.
because I never saw myself doing a feature-length film when I moved to Colorado,
Yeah.
and let alone like be able to like work on my acting
Yeah.
in a real like honest and real way that's not full-on comedy. That, wow, what a privilege to be able to do that. Thank you, Don. Like, just thanks for trusting in me and letting me give it a shot.
Absolutely. You know, the scenes towards the end of the movie were like the scene of Alex. I'll pull up the image, but I won't play it because I don't want to give too much away. Let's see if I can find it here.
Which one?
This here. This. These are some of my favorite moments. Again, I won't give too much away, but like towards the end of the movie, what happens to this character? So it isn't like autobiographical, but this is character most resembles myself.
Yet it's not.
Yet it's
For the
not.
record, this is not Don at all.
No. But I feel like this guy
Yeah.
a lot.
I think when I learned that about this character, I was surprised because I guess I don't realize that you're going through that. You know, you're pretty good at maybe
Faking it?
hiding that, or
Hiding it.
and so to like be in a body that really was feeling all those feelings a lot of the time, it really like it opened me up to like maybe what you're going through in life, but also like it helped me to maybe bring more variety to my own style of acting,
Yeah.
which up until now is maybe more goofy and
Yeah.
you know, so it actually ground me. I think my cousin said, you know, playing this character was really good for you because he's very serious. He's very and he's not nice. And he which you're nice,
Yeah.
you know, but this character, he's a little sharp and tightly wound. And
Well, but I am actually a little sharp and tightly wound.
that is not true.
You don't see that side of me. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm like a chameleon, but my ability to have a veil out and then have the inside be very different than the veil is, for better, for worse, very true. For better, for worse. And I'm just being honest about it. I'm being honest about it
Yeah,
because
I appreciate that. I mean,
this is a dive into
I would want you to be more honest with me, right? Like we're friends in real life, so
Why?
like just why do you have the veil on for me? You know, like just be honest. And it's like I think it could help you to be able to like share. I don't know. I know it's hard, but
You know, I don't want this to turn into a therapy session.
let's do some improv. Improv is therapy.
I am working. Have you ever done an Enneagram test? Do you know what this is?
You've told me about this.
Yeah, it kind of blew my mind when I did it. And I'm a number 3, which is an achiever. So it doesn't. An achiever, basically, their biggest goal, hands down, no questions asked, no even messing around, is accomplishing something that would make them feel like they are worth something. And you know, I mean, there's a whole science behind this. I can't sum it up in just one phrase. Again, I'm not an expert at anything hardly, except for photography and video. But when I was like, this really like illuminated some stuff between me and Brittany, because it was like, oh,
That's what you are.
that's why you do what you do.
Yeah. I love those types of tests like Myers-Briggs or strength finders.
Yeah.
Like they can really kind of call out like what your strengths are and how you like to work with things. I think they can be really positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, half the battle is knowing, right?
Yeah.
Look, I wanted to circle back to, I wanted to ask you, how do you were saying when you do improv, for you, characters are sort of one of your strongest ways in. Is that fair to say? How do you find those characters, do you think?
Physically.
That's what
I would always
wondering.
start physically. Yeah.
And so for someone who's never done improv, I went to see you do Makeshift Shakespeare at the Bug Theater. And walking out of there with you was like being with a rock star. Everybody at the show was wanting to come up
That
and
was a
talk
fun
to you.
show. Yeah, I remember that.
It was your character was unfreaking believable. It's like one of these, you know, if you think you're going to go into a scene and do something, it's like, oh, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be funny and witty. And it's kind of like when you see what you did was just like, huh.
That was a fun show because it was like full on.
I felt like your bodyguard or your agent trying to get you out of there. It was like, you know what I mean? I was like your shadow, just kind of walking right behind you. Everyone was coming up.
Yeah.
How do you find a character like that? How do you explain it to someone that's never done it, has only seen a show like that one?
It's finding like what is needed for this piece, and in that case, the two guys, I think it was a 3-person show, me and two
Yes.
other guys,
Yeah.
and they had started the scene, and it was them out there, and they were playing pretty close to themselves.
Correct.
And I think at that point I was like, what is needed for like the next character? Like, how should I come in? And I felt like I could go into a big character because they were so grounded, right? Or I would probably never like kick the show off like that because it's maybe too big of a choice. But yeah, I think being aware of what the others are doing, I would say.
But how do you describe how you find a character physically? Like in layman's terms, what does that mean?
Oh boy. Well, in that case, I if I remember right, it was maybe a mortuary or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I remember them talking about how everything was broken or everything was falling apart. And I thought I could be like a handyman who just was not good at his job, like couldn't fix anything and was kind of a mess and had a little accent to him and a little stoop and a little. And I think I find that if you're doing something on stage, if you're doing an activity or moving or anything other than just standing there and talking,
Yeah.
that's going to give you
Yeah.
a character. That's
Yeah.
going to give you something more to work with.
Yeah. Like maybe you have a limp in your walk or a bum leg, or
Right.
maybe your arm is just up a little. This one's up just a little bit higher than the other one. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, you can build off of like,
Right.
what would this person be like who has one arm that's kind of up a
Yeah.
little bit weird?
And then there's the vocal as well. So it's like I think when I first started out doing stuff, I would get criticized for changing my voice too much. But I think that can be a powerful tool in finding the character as well. So if I remember right, that show, I had like a little like tick or something where I
Yes.
would kind of like,
Yeah.
something like that. And it would, anytime I would like lift something, I would have that. So that is something that you can come back to, right? And I think having those little go-tos keeps putting you back into the character that you started with. Because I think it's easy to lose the character
Yeah.
as you go, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're upright and you're talking like this.
Right.
Oh,
all the
shit.
little things.
I
kinda,
forgot
like,
about the
washed away.
accent. I forgot about
yeah.
the arm. I forgot about this and that.
Yeah.
So yeah, having those little telltales or those little things you can repeat really go back to it.
I'm just going to say this. You tell me if you think it's true. To be a good improviser, a good performer, actor, but in this case, to be a good improviser, you need to have a very hungry curiosity for the world and for people.
Mhm.
Because
That's exactly what I was saying. Yes.
because it's like we see people like this. Maybe what you're doing on stage is like maybe a ridiculous version, but these people exist all over the place. All over the place.
Yeah, some of my favorite activities, doing class was where you would send the students out, and I did this myself as a student. You would go out onto the street and you would just observe. And you'd pick one person and you'd just look at the way they carried themselves. you'd try to hear how they sounded without getting into their business. you know?
Yeah.
And then you would take that and you'd come back into the classroom and then you'd take that on.
Yeah.
And that I always remember thinking that was so powerful.
Yeah.
And how do you do it in a respectful way that you're not making fun of somebody, but you're taking on?
What do you think it is? It's an attempt to try to understand, but do so in a way that's completely unleashed, and it could become something very different than what that person is, but it's still understanding a facet of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Amy Sedaris says, like, I love playing ugly characters that think that they're beautiful, right? It's like,
Ooh.
it's like you still have to love the person that you're playing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the ultimate, like, end goal, is to still love yourself and love the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I love what we're touching on here.
Mm-hmm.
I myself am endlessly fascinated with people. One of the reasons why I love photography so much is I just like seeing someone, seeing what they look like, understanding what they're like. It's like when it's like the eyes are the windows to the soul. And life is not meant to be anything other than what it is for whoever's experiencing it. I mean, it's broken, it's hard, it's painful, it's also joyous, but like you see so many people who are in many ways great, in many ways broken. And it's just so fascinating to dive in and try to understand what that must be like for that person.
I mean, I'm thinking of this, right? Like, everything you're saying is reminding me of this character a little bit.
Yeah.
Because in this moment he is broken, but also kind of has found peace, or maybe, I don't want to ruin it, but I'm not going to go into the detail, I guess, on that. But in terms of, I think something that I kept thinking about during this film is this character likable?
Yeah.
And you have to kind of let that go, and
Like from a performer's perspective, you're judging?
Yeah. And I think, having seen the film, I think he is likable, very much.
Or at least, for God's sakes, he has the potential if you would just let some of this other garbage go.
No, I think it comes across in the film. There's so many little moments where he's just so human, and I think relatable. Like, I think people can relate with him.
Yeah.
And I think the way you pieced it together in the editing too, he comes across maybe not as difficult as maybe I perceived him on paper.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a big eye-opener for me. It's a cool process to see that from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wolfgang Stein,
What? Are we done?
thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Oh, thanks, Don.
We've had, man, I've known you for so long now.
Yeah,
It's been great.
you're getting gray. I'm still blonde.
How is that?
I'm
How
teasing.
is that?
You're great.
No, I'm not. I used to be, every room I walked into, especially when I was acting and doing improv, every room I walked into, people thought I was 5 years younger than I actually was.
Yeah.
And then within just a couple of years,
But the salt and pepper looks so good on you, Don.
I hope it stays that way for at least some while.
Yeah.
Because it's,
You
like,
can get it done too now.
what?
Yeah, get each individual.
No. I'm so against.
Cheers, Don.
Cheers with a little bubbly.
Okay.
I'm so against I'm so against doing any sort of modification with the hair. Your hair is what it is.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so
I'm gonna
against
have
it.
like a midlife crisis and probably, get highlights at some point.
Some people just gray early.
Yeah. No, I know.
What's on the docket? Where are you going? What are you doing? What happens from here? It's a Saturday. What do you got going on?
Man,
You got
oh,
big-
man.
are you going
This
to-
was
you got a
my
big-
big plan for the day, so I'm looking forward to just chilling out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's call it.